it is just for a leader. It is also important to have a bit of a purpose in life. Also, the other side, you all have followers, and they all want to become like you. So it is just not about work, work, work. There also needs to be the other side of the things, and they all want to know you a little better as well. So let's make an attempt of to doing this. And let me start with Pankaj, because Sandeep, you gave the last opening to Pankaj. Let me give an opening to Pankaj. So Pankaj, you've been encouraging people that they all deserve a life that they need to live to the fullest, even after retirement. And if I could ask you, whenever you hang up your corporate boots, what kind of a life are you looking to forward to living in your retirement life?
Deepak, it's a very, very interesting question you have raised, and I have been actually thinking about it over the last couple of weeks in my own mind. And I read recently that you have to think of your life in intervals of 7 years, because you probably reach a transition point every 7 years in your life of some shape or the other. And given I'm from the life insurance industry, I do look at mortality data and how people's lifespans are changing. So I believe that I might have about 4 such 7-year frames with me. And actually I got really confused after the first 7-year time frame, what exactly would I do? And when you think about those things, you think about your family, your finances, what has been your passion, where exactly have you reached at that point of time. So when I close my eyes, I actually think of either a mountain or a beach. And that is where I would want to be. I would want to be very productive till the last years of my life while thinking in 7-year time frames. Now work from anywhere, work from home has opened up very many new opportunities. I was talking to an ex-colleague of mine. He is moving to Canada and he has picked up a job with an Indian startup. And he says he can do the solutioning and the partner engagement sitting in Canada for Indian customers. And that does open up a lot of possibilities of what you want to do. So I would probably want to have either 1 or 2 of those 7-year time frames in the corporate world. So either after 7 years or after 14 years, I would look to move on from the corporate world and live the life that I've been thinking of when I close my eyes.
Thanks, Pankaj. I think it's a wonderful perspective, because to break the life into 7-year period, I think good one. I think it's really changed how I'm going to think about this moving forward. Naveen, beaches, water that's a person you are. So tell us about your favorite beach holiday. I mean, which is your favorite beach? Is there an incident that's got stuck with you? I hope you had your swimming trunks always intact in the water waves. Anything funny that has happened with you out there? Yeah.
So one thing I should tell you is that for the last 14 years, year on year, we have been to Goa. So not anything very fancy, very close to where we stay. Either, when we were in Gurgaon or now when we are in Bombay, it's with family. So 4 of us for sure. Other families tag along. So I think Goa comes first in my mind whenever we are looking. In fact, even in this lockdown, if they allow us, that's where I want to go first. Something funny, because every time we go back to the same place. It used to be called this Park Hyatt, which is taken over by ITC. Thank God they didn't change the staff. I had built a rapport with everyone. Okay, so the kind of crab I want to eat or the wine I want, they kind of knew it. Just the brand changed, and every time a family member or a friend came, they knew that they had to say Chandani ke room par laga lo. So I that's what I can remember, and beaches will always be beaches.
Fantastic. I just hope the ITC keeps upgrading you to the suite every time you go down there, Naveen. So
unfortunately, not even once.
Manik, you are highly skillful and passionate. And if I could ask you, when did this thought of writing struck you for the very first time? When did you really thought that, yeah, you're going to become a writer?
Well, I think I don't know exactly when it struck me, but it was an inherent part of my growing up. So, growing up, my father was in the government. We moved a lot. Every 2 years we were moving. And, back in those days, late 70s, early 80s, I developed a love for reading. And I think that led me to love telling stories. I had an overactive imagination, and I had a imaginary friend who sat next to me in grade 7 for some time. I wrote a diary about how the world ended and dug up our front yard and buried it so future historians would find it. So I had an overactive imagination. I loved storytelling. And when I was 11 years old, I read an interview by Stephen King, who said, the moment somebody pays you a cent for your writing, you are an author. So I had some stuff written away at home. I solved the next term's maths textbook, stapled it together with my writing, photocopied it, and sold it to my classmates we were living in Canada at the time, for 50 cents a pop. So I came home with the $12.50 I'd earned, and I told my mother, Ma, today I've become a published author. So I think that's when the thought came into my mind that, telling stories and having an imagination is wonderful, but the joy of sharing that with someone else. And that's when that thought really came in my mind of,
Nice.
telling stories as a way of really communicating and connecting with others.
And how old were you when your first book got published?
My first properly published book, not my stapled homemade book, was published when I was in college, in second year of college. So I must have been, 19 years old at the time.
Awesome. Many more to you, Manak. And do you still practice your karates? Is that another?
We do, and that's one of the ways in which one of my learnings over the last 4 months is we can be incredibly adaptable, and technology is a tool. So my son also learns karate. So he's 12 years old. He's got his black belt last year. So we are now practicing karate together with all the other kids over Zoom meetings. And so twice a week, we're there, our sensei is there, we're practicing. So literally anything is possible if it's important enough to you, if you're passionate about it, and you find ways of making that happen. So we are doing it all virtually.
Wonderful. And Manish, you are a fitness freak. And before I get to my real question to you, I want to know the recipe of the juice that you were drinking this morning here.
Whatever he tells you, don't believe it had vodka mist. I can tell you for sure.
Okay, all right. So this actually is a very simple juice. I have a proper regimen. I mean, I think the morning I eat only during the 8 hours of the day, or at max 10 hours, and don't eat really for the 14 to 15 hours. So this juice is actually my breakfast, and it has got I would say sprouted moong as well as chana, beetroot, and apart from that, it has got ginger and a host of few other veggies, but it's completely veggie stuff. And as the first thing in the morning, I think it's my power snack, and it makes me feel good.
मनीष भाई अब सच बताओ, अब सच बता दो.
अच्छा भाई बता देता हूँ, ये ब्लडी मैरी है.
बस अब ठीक है.
So Manish, we every year we have a nationwide program called a CEO Mastership. So start getting your skills better on that. So I'm sure you want to come back and prepare this Bloody Mary for all the other bloody people out there. So Manish, one more thing. I mean, you've been talking about this, that the opportunity for working with Megma is actually like pursuing your passion. But tell us, is your family also thinks that way, or do they want you to pursue some other passion other than Megma?
You're asking tough ones, and they are luckily not on webinar right now. No, I must say that my background is that I come from Allahabad, a small town. It's a small, sleepy town, but it's very cultured. At a point of time, it was called Oxford of the East. My grandfather was a revolutionary, and he was very active at that point of time in the freedom struggle. In fact, that's the only thing he did all his life. And so I come from a family which is very close to seeing the SMEs in the affordable housing space and the travail and challenges of people there. And the secret, there's no secret. I mean, I think my own father's business was a struggler SME, and which finally collapsed one day. And I just felt that for such a small issue like liquidity starvation, why should any fail, and why would it impact family in the way it could? So it somewhere became intrinsic to me that one day probably we'll go out and help as much as possible to people. And in fact, I love talking to customers. And every time you solve somebody's problem, it gives you a very deep inner peace. So my own inner scape is a little more, I would say, harmonized whenever that happens. So I think I just can't stay not connected. The amount of benefits you can transmit to your customer, which we are doing, by the way, by the government's Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana benefits or the interest subvention, which the entire team is doing. In a sense, it builds a lot of gratitude and it makes you a little more closer to the soil, and which is what kind of gives you more joy.
Nice. And
Just stepping in.
Maruti and you are synonymous, and there is no doubt that you're so passionate about Maruti that made you stuck there for over 3 decades. So I'm sure during this lockdown, you would have really missed going to your office. I'm just assuming that, So what kept you busy during the lockdown? Was there something interesting that you did that kept your smile absolutely as wide during that period? Did you cook? Did you connect with your old friends? What did you do during the lockdown being from home?
Yeah, so first of all, Deepak, the lockdown lasted only April. So from first week of May, every day our office is open and we are going to office since the 4th of May. However, this period of the lockdown, yes, I have been reading a lot. That's actually my first love is reading. And I don't know whether I must mention it here because I'm a little apprehensive. Actually, I have always wanted to figure out the world. So I have been reading about books on science or genetics or astronomy or the physics and so on, and that has been actually throughout my life I've been doing it. Maybe I'll find more time post-retirement to try to figure it out because I haven't figured it out. I'm told nobody has figured it out. So, but it's a great pursuit, and probably do things like travel post-retirement, etc. But during this time, the lockdown time, I could read a lot of really great stuff. And I was introduced to, I heard about it before, to an author called Roger Penrose. He writes books on science and philosophy connected together. There's a great book, it's called The Road to Reality. That's the one book I read. I mean, I recommend to everybody here, as also to all the participants in the conversation. And the other book, which is really, I haven't completed it, so, I'm halfway through, is Fashion, Faith, and Fantasy. It tells you about your how even with science and an application of science in your mind, you are actually sort of inclined to certain things regarding faith or fashion or fantasies. So I think I will try to spend more time post. I hope I'll continue for a long time because my natural thing is to be in action. So that's what I'll try to do. And hopefully I'll have more time later on for those pursuits.
Fantastic, Shashank. And the day you decide to publish a book, whose door to knock. That's Manak, and I'm sure this 7-year period will help you to also plan what next and how next. And Sandeep,
thank you.
Is it cricket? Is it table tennis? Or is it bowling? Which is your favorite and the first love?
It changes with time. So come September, I start liking cricket all of a sudden because it's time for the CEO Cricket Challenge. So I keep shifting. I try and cross the bridges when they come to. So come July and January, it moves to table tennis because that's when we have our internal sports day in the organization. And bowling, I'll share something offline because it's got to do with the balls. So avoid the discussion here. But yeah, the last 2 trips that I've gone out internationally, I bought Canada and Hong Kong. I got bowling balls for myself, and I just want make sure that they're oiled regularly because that is something that I'm missing right now.
Good, but you still have to lift the CEO Cricket Challenge trophy, Sandeep.
I've been missing it for last 2
times. Keep rubbing that into you year after year. Yeah.
Yes.
Sandeep, can I put you on a spot and ask you one more question? And you please answer this question. Don't find a way not of answering this. Which is your favorite car and why?
My favorite car.
Yeah.
My favorite car. Okay, I'll tell you a story along with that. My favorite car.
Well, Sandeep, see, listen, you'll have to tell the name of the car first, and the story can come later, man.
Discovery. It's the
Sorry?
Land Rover Discovery, the car that I drive. And we were doing an internal survey trying to map the manufacturer's basis the car, and I really blame the team. They bloody put the manufacturer and the car as orange category. You know, green is the best, yellow is the second best, orange and red. I was pushing them. Don't try and think of putting Discovery in the red zone. But I can see Shashank smiling. Maruti was obviously up there, green, green, green. But they put my car into the orange category. So that's the car I love.
Nice. Great. So, gentlemen, I think it's been an outstanding conversation. Great insights. And I think the 90 minutes didn't really do the justice with the kind of the knowledge that you all have and you wanted to share. So probably in next few weeks, we'll invite you all again and to share something more, something a little different. And thanks to all the audience for a very, very active participation. And I will see you all again next week, same time, 11 o'clock, with a new topic, new set of leaders to discuss about, how do we restart? And we'll continue this topic for a while now. And until then, take very good care of yourself. Stay healthy, stay safe, eat healthy. And
Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Great meeting all of you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.